Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia weather forecast right through until Sunday. And we don't really have any big low pressure systems over us at the moment, but we also don't have high pressure around for today anyway. And so there's a bit of instability around, but as you're going to see, more thunderstorms in the east and that polar boundary in the south still coming in to the southeast corner a couple of times over the next week ahead. At the moment, westerly winds blowing through there with showers passing over Tassie, a few showers around Victoria as well, and some of that cloud spilling over into the ACT and New South Wales. Whereas at the other end of New South Wales, rain and showers clearing away from the northern rivers and clearing away from the southeast corner of Queensland, but showers and thunderstorms remain elsewhere, especially up around the tropics, whereas much of Western Australia southwards is dry, and a similar story around South Australia, although there may be a few coastal showers in South Australia today. And the reason why is because as we go through the day, high pressure, which is way out here over the Indian Ocean, sending in this southerly breeze along the southern coastline, that comes into about South Australia by tonight, but ahead of that, west to northwest winds continue on. Elsewhere, the winds aren't much of a feature. The only area that maybe stands out a little bit is with high pressure out here to the east near New Zealand, a southeasterly breeze coming in to parts of Queensland. That may not be quite as hot and humid as some of the weather you've had just recently. The last thing, no high pressure over Australia. One high number one, out here over the Indian Ocean, sending a ridge to the south of the continent. The other high out here over the New Zealand area, which means things are a little changeable. When you don't have high pressure around, things can change. So here we are on Tuesday, and high pressure from the Indian Ocean sneaks over the Great Australian Bight and to about Bass Strait, which means Tasmania's still got westerly winds, and the polar boundary here, 5400, means that it's high up in the atmosphere. So that is brushing southern parts of Tasmania. So on the surface of the planet, you'll feel that colder airflow around places like Hobart. Even though it's a westerly wind, it's not a southerly. Further northwards, just over Bass Strait, around that anticyclone, the wind direction changes to an easterly. So easterlies from Victoria right across to Perth and Fremantle. And in fact, in some parts of Western Australia, around the hills, that easterly wind could be a little gusty at times as it comes through there. You can see that when all those isobars, the white lines, get squashed together. By Wednesday, high pressure is continuing to the south, still not really over Australia itself. It's not even over Tasmania either. It's on the edges of the continent and on the island of Tasmania. Those easterly winds carry on along the south. They might ease back a wee bit in Western Australia, but perhaps pick up a little bit around South Australia and some parts of northern Victoria, southern parts of New South Wales. That's that northeasterly wind or an easterly wind going around the high pressure zone, which is now ballooning out into the Tasman Sea. That process is going to produce downpours and thunderstorms going into Wednesday and expanding over the days ahead, particularly into New South Wales, as you can see here. Now, elsewhere, low pressure sort of hanging around, a few showers, a few thunderstorms, some of those around central southern parts of Queensland, but really not a lot going on this map here on Wednesday. By Thursday now, we're seeing more showers and thunderstorms spreading around New South Wales. Also some parts of Queensland just to the north. Places like Charleville might see a few thundery downpours. But it's New South Wales that has got not only the risk of thunderstorms, potentially severe, that's where you've got bigger hail, risk of power cuts, risk of localised flooding. That increases on Thursday, tapers off once you go into the southern part towards the mountains, the ACT. Bit of a windy northerly wind blowing through there. East to northeasterly for Victoria, dry in Victoria for the most part, dry in South Australia, and then you've got the line of convergence from New South Wales going all the way back over to the Kimberley. So there could be thunderstorms anywhere in those regions and including up here around the top end. Look at Tasmania though, high pressure smack bang over you, light winds, enjoy it. On Friday, high pressure moves out to the east and that encourages a northerly wind coming down over Tasmania. Further to the north, some heavy rain coming in. Now potentially coming into Sydney here. This could move around a bit. A few days out, things are still going to move a little bit there, but the rainfall colour just around the Sydney area, 100 millimetres in one day. That is worth keeping an eye on. And more downpours, more thunderstorms around New South Wales, just spilling over into the Queensland border. Doesn't look so wet if you're over around Brisbane, but you are seeing a lot of thunderstorms and showers forming on this map. Now, they're not necessarily all going to be major, but we're seeing a large area around inland Australia, through the desert, through the outback, with showers and thunderstorms. The heat pushes southwards. The red arrow just indicates that. That heat is sinking southwards across South Australia even more so. Adelaide on the outer edges of it, but I think you'll still feel temperatures going up at the end of the week. And once more, low pressure in Western Australia and high pressure off the map creates a gusty easterly wind or a southeasterly that could be blowing through there. And yes, there may also be a couple of thundery downpours with that setup, but lovely weather in Tasmania. It feels really good to say that after all the months of really unsettled weather that you have had. But don't hold your breath too long. See all the blue arrows down there to the bottom? That's the next polar change. So on Saturday, it doesn't look so big here, but on Saturday, that polar boundary is quite close to Tasmania, and there is more of a southerly wind coming in. So you just might notice showers increasing, temperatures dropping at some point going into the weekend. But look at all the showers around Australia itself on Saturday. When I say Australia itself, I mean the continent. Obviously, Tassie's just as much of Australia, but the continent seeing widespread showers from the east right over to nearly the west. I mean, the west coastal main centres should be dry, sunny and hot with that gusty easterly still blowing. Further north though, showers, thunderstorms right across large parts of Western Australia, the Northern Territory, South Australia, perhaps more broken up around Queensland, and in fact the more populated centres on the coast may well have a dry day. So we're not really seeing Queensland so much in the thunderstorm risk, but here in New South Wales, the areas with green and gold showing the chance of once more heavier rain and the chance of thunderstorms as well. And we get to Sunday, and sorry Tasmania, but here we go again. Another cold change, another wintry change with a dusting of snow at the highest elevations potentially. Heavy west coast downpours, showers, some of those squally, and the wind is a southwesterly that will be strong. Southerly winds around Victoria, southeasterly winds in South Australia, and once you're further up into New South Wales, Queensland, this is all low pressure. These circles are all areas of low pressure, and so what you're seeing there is just instability and not necessarily much wind, but the chance of showers, thunderstorms, that sort of setup. But that southerly change is going to sweep a lot of this stuff away. You can already see the tropical boundary going northwards again here on Sunday, all because of high pressure to the south, encouraging that drier, cooler airflow to come on in. Before I go, rainfall for the next 7 days ahead. West coast of Tasmania, 50 or 60 millimetres there. Now this area around Sydney is showing the risk of 150 millimetres over the next week. Most of that could fall in a day. But like I say, that could move around still. So I wouldn't lock it in, but just be aware that anywhere along the east coast, not just the east coast, but the eastern side of New South Wales has the chance of thunderstorms and downpours. That could move around a wee bit, but you get the idea. It's mostly around New South Wales, not so much into Queensland. Some around Brisbane, tapers off further northwards, and then you've got the next set of thunderstorms around the top end, Catherine and the Kimberley. So there we go. That is the next 7 days or so ahead for Australia. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow, Tuesday, with your next update.